Imagine living your entire life confined to a single house, told the outside world is a terrifying, dangerous place. But what if the real danger, and the most astonishing truth, lay much closer to home, waiting to shatter everything you thought you knew? This is the story of 7-year-old Chloe, a girl who has spent her entire life locked within the walls of her home. She has never seen the world beyond her front door, nor has she ever played with other children. Her father, Henry, constantly warns her that the outside is fraught with peril, instilling in Chloe a potent mix of fear and intense curiosity. Every time Chloe gazes out a window, Henry erupts in anger, urgently commanding her to step away. He acts with an almost frantic nervousness, as if guarding an immense secret, always terrified that someone outside might catch a glimpse of his daughter. Whenever Henry ventures out for food or supplies, he meticulously repeats the same emergency protocol to Chloe. What to do if he never returns, a clear sign of his constant belief that danger could strike at any moment. One evening during dinner, Henry attempts to distract Chloe with a card game. However, a disturbing sight catches Chloe's eye, blood trickling from her father's eyes. Henry, with unsettling calm, explains that this peculiar issue has afflicted him for some time. Then, he reveals an even more chilling request, asking Chloe to immediately alert him if her own eyes ever begin to bleed. That night, Chloe inquires about a mountain she once overheard mention of. Henry's demeanor instantly shifts to suspicion. He realizes Chloe may have secretly been reading the newspapers he keeps hidden in the house. Fearing she might uncover the truth about the world outside, Henry promptly burns all the papers. Later that night, Chloe awakens to a strange sound coming from beyond her bedroom door. Both curious and afraid, she cautiously approaches to investigate. Upon opening the door, she sees an unfamiliar woman standing there. The woman suddenly lets out a piercing scream and flees across the room in terror. Chloe freezes in shock, quietly hoping the ghost-like figure will vanish. As she waits, Chloe calmly picks up a pen and begins to draw. The following morning, Chloe recounts everything she witnessed to her father. But when Henry inspects the room, it is completely empty. Soon after, Chloe discovers a book mysteriously left outside her door. Filled with excitement, she quickly retreats to her room and begins to read. For a girl who has spent her entire life confined, even a simple book feels magical. While engrossed in her reading, Chloe hears the distant music of an ice cream truck. Curious, she peeks through the window and spots a girl named Harper. For the very first time, Chloe comes face to face with someone her own age. In that moment, Chloe silently wishes Harper would bring her some ice cream and, almost unbelievably, just seconds later, Harper walks up and knocks on the front door. Chloe, bubbling with excitement, rushes to open it. But before she can reach for the chocolate ice cream cone, Henry abruptly intervenes, stopping her. Looking visibly nervous, he immediately demands to know how Harper knows Chloe's name. Moments later, Harper's mother, Nancy, approaches, having noticed her daughter speaking with neighbors. She politely introduces herself and smiles warmly at Chloe, even remarking that Chloe seems like a perfectly normal little girl. The instant Henry hears this, his expression darkens. He quickly terminates the conversation, bids them goodbye, and promptly shuts the door. Henry becomes convinced that Chloe has been secretly leaving the house without permission. Enraged and fearful, he decides to punish her by locking her inside a dark closet. That night, Chloe sits alone in the closet, playing with her homemade toy ice cream truck. Then something truly unbelievable occurs. Chloe somehow teleports herself into Harper's bedroom, without understanding how she did it. The two girls fall asleep together, like the best of friends. The next morning, Henry apologizes to Chloe for his anger the previous night, feeling guilty for treating her so harshly. Chloe then persuades him to finally go outside and buy her some real ice cream. Hours later, Henry eventually returns home, but something is terribly wrong. His clothes are stained with blood, and he clutches a gun in his hand. He quickly locks the door behind him and tells Chloe he was attacked outside. Chloe, however, barely reacts to the terrifying situation. She is still upset about one thing only: her missing ice cream. Frustrated, she boldly tells her father that if he cannot get it for her, she will go to the supermarket herself. While Chloe is cleaning and dressing Henry's wound, he suddenly collapses, unconscious, to the floor. At that precise moment, something strange happens. Time, which had appeared frozen around the house, suddenly begins to move normally again. The lights flicker back on and water starts dripping from the sink. Seeing her father unconscious, Chloe finally summons the courage to pursue her lifelong dream. She opens the hidden safe, takes some money, and quietly leaves the house alone for the very first time. As Chloe descends the outdoor stairs, she touches plants and flowers for the first time ever. Everything feels magical to her. She smiles with unbridled excitement, gazing at the real world around her. Soon she spots the ice cream truck waiting nearby. The driver, Mr. Allen, sees Chloe holding a €100 note and jokingly tells her that with so much money, she could eat ice cream forever. He then kindly invites her inside the truck. During the drive, Chloe is utterly amazed by everything she sees. Children and bicycles, people walking their dogs, and families simply enjoying a normal day outdoors. For the first test, the world does not seem dangerous at all. But then, Chloe notices a warning sign on the street, cautioning people to stay alert due to dangerous individuals whose eyes bleed. This instantly reminds Chloe of her father. A few minutes later, they arrive at a city park. There, Mr. Allen begins asking Chloe unusual questions. He carefully inquires if her eyes have ever bled and if she possesses any special abilities. Chloe quickly asserts that she is just a normal girl, but during their conversation, she learns something shocking. Her mother was once very famous for having supernatural powers. As they talk, a police officer approaches and asks Chloe if she knows Mr. Allen. Feeling nervous, Chloe denies it. Allen then attempts to convince the officer that Chloe is his granddaughter. Simultaneously, he secretly tells Chloe people like this police officer are responsible for killing her mother, making Chloe believe the officer is dangerous. Terrified, Chloe looks directly at the officer and commands him to leave, and astonishingly, the officer immediately obeys her command. At that moment, Mr. Allen realizes the truth. Chloe truly does have powers. On the way back home, Chloe notices a photo hanging near the steering wheel of the ice cream truck, a picture of her mother. That is when Chloe finally understands that Mr. Allen is in fact her grandfather. Before dropping her off, Allen gives Chloe the photo and secretly instructs her to put sleeping medicine into her father's food the next time she hears the ice cream truck outside. A few hours later, Henry wakes up and once again, time around him suddenly freezes. Panicking, he rushes outside to search for Chloe. He feels a wave of relief upon finding her safely inside her room, quietly drawing pictures. But then, Henry makes a terrible realization. Chloe escaped the house and discovered that he had been lying to her all along. For the first time, Chloe openly rebels against her father. Furious and heartbroken, she screams that she hates him, then confesses her biggest dream was always to have a mother who could love and care for her like other children. Later that night, Chloe stares at the photo Mr. Allen gave her. Suddenly, she comprehends something horrifying. The ghostly woman she keeps seeing inside the closet is actually her mother. When Chloe sees her again, the woman smiles for a brief moment, but then she abruptly realizes Chloe is not truly there with her. The woman begins screaming desperately, begging her captors to let her go. Terrified, Chloe slams the closet door shut and runs away. When she gathers enough courage to look again, the woman has completely disappeared. Shaken by everything she saw, Chloe goes downstairs to tell her father, but Henry is already asleep. That is when Chloe notices the television playing in the living room. She secretly uses Henry's headphones to listen to a news report. The report is hosted by Agent Rye, a woman working for an organization that deals with people possessing supernatural powers, whom they call freaks. During the interview, the reporter explains that the government has offered all freaks a peaceful place to live at a location called Matic Mountain. However, any freak still hiding in cities is now considered a criminal. Then the reporter states something even more disturbing. Since the children of freaks are believed to have even stronger powers than their parents, many people think these children should be eliminated for national safety. Agent Rye, however, clearly disagrees with this cruel idea. She believes that if these children are raised correctly, they could use their powers to help people instead of harming them. In her eyes, a child with superhuman powers could become a powerful weapon for the country. That same night, Chloe is suddenly teleported into Harper's bedroom again. Harper is having a sleepover with her friends, and the girls are shocked to see Chloe appear out of nowhere. Harper becomes angry and tells her to leave immediately. Soon, all the children start calling Chloe a freak. Hurt and scared, Chloe runs toward the closet to hide, but when she opens the door, she once again comes face to face with the mysterious woman. This time, Chloe sees the woman chained up like a prisoner. Slowly, Chloe walks closer and tries to calm her down, but the woman, Mary, believes she is only experiencing another hallucination and desperately tells Chloe to go away. Then, suddenly, Mary feels Chloe touching her arm. the moment she realizes her daughter is truly standing in front of her. Mary hugs her tightly and breaks down in relief. She cannot believe Chloe is alive. Mary quickly understands that Chloe inherited the same supernatural powers she possesses. But sadly, she also tells Chloe that she cannot come home to take care of her. The next morning, Chloe wakes up with a new resolve. Since she cannot have her real mother, she decides she wants to live with Nancy instead. To Chloe, Nancy feels like the perfect, normal mother she always wanted. But as Chloe tries to leave the house, Henry stops her at the door, frustrated and emotional. Chloe secretly wishes for her father to disappear forever. Hearing this, Henry, sad, tells her that one day his enemies really will kill him, and when that happens, Chloe will be completely alone and regret ever wishing for it. Later, Chloe pretends to feel sorry for what she said. She secretly puts sleeping medicine into Henry's juice and hands him the drink while apologizing. But before taking a sip, Henry notices a strange smell in the glass. Immediately realizing something is wrong, he angrily chases after Chloe. Furious over her betrayal, Henry starts yelling at her. In a moment of panic, Chloe suddenly uses her powers and orders him to go to sleep. Instantly, Henry collapses unconscious on the floor. At the same time, blood starts dripping from Chloe's eyes, revealing that using her powers comes with a painful cost. Knowing she cannot stay there any longer, Chloe rushes to the safe, grabs a large sum of money, and flees from home. Outside, she meets her grandfather, Alan, who gently wipes the blood from her face. When Alan learns that Chloe wants Nancy to become her new mother, he convinces her to get inside the truck by promising to take her to her real mother instead. Later, Alan disguises himself as a priest and secretly meets Agent Rye at a bakery while she is eating breakfast. Once they are alone, Alan tells Roop that they both desire the same outcome, then asks for her help in safely taking Chloe to Matic Mountain. Alan explains that 7 years earlier, a baby girl was abandoned outside his church with a note asking him to protect her. He claims he suspected the baby might be a freak, so he decided to raise her himself. But Chloe suddenly interrupts him and exposes the lie, revealing that she was actually raised by her father. Then, when Chloe hears Alan call her a freak, she becomes furious. More than anything, Chloe just wants to be normal. She refuses to accept that she is different from everyone else. Upset and emotional, she runs away from the bakery. Alan quickly chases after her, but before leaving, he realizes that one of the cooks overheard their conversation. Without hesitation, Alan grabs a pen and violently stabs the cook in the eyes. As the cook screams in pain, Agent Rye and her team immediately draw their guns. When the injured cook runs outside asking for help, the agents mistake him for a threat and shoot him dead. Hearing the gunshots, Alan quickly uses his supernatural ability to become invisible. Then he escapes with Chloe inside the ice cream truck. While driving away, Alan becomes angry and emotional, realizing he may have lost his only chance to save his daughter. His real plan was to convince Agent Rye to secretly help Chloe reach Matic Mountain. But deep down, Alan already knew the horrifying truth. Matic Mountain was never a safe place for freaks. It was actually a prison. He still wants to go there because his daughter Mary is being held inside that place, hoping there is still a chance to save her. Meanwhile, Chloe believes her real mother is already dead. Because of this, she forces Alan to take her back home. She plans to give the stolen money to Nancy and convince her to adopt her as a normal daughter. But while driving back, Alan suddenly sees Henry standing in the middle of the road. Chloe immediately jumps out of the truck and runs straight toward her father. Henry then uses his powers to transport Alan and the ice cream truck far away from them. After that, he takes Chloe back home. However, Chloe refuses to stay there. She orders her father to let her go and runs toward Nancy's house. While crossing the street, Chloe is almost hit by a speeding car, but at the last second, Henry saves her by slowing down time itself. For the first time, Chloe finally understands the truth. Her father also has superpowers. Henry explains that he created a special time bubble around their house to keep Chloe safe from the outside world. Inside the bubble, time moves very slowly compared to the real world. The problem is that the bubble only works while Henry is awake. Because of this, even though Chloe and Henry have lived together for 7 years inside the house, only 2 months have passed for everyone else outside. That means Chloe's mother was taken away only 2 months ago in the real world. Henry finally realizes how much pain and loneliness this life has caused old daughter. Feeling guilty, he decides to let Nancy and Steve adopt Chloe. Years earlier, Henry secretly made a deal with the neighbors. If anything ever happened to him, they would take care of Chloe in exchange for a huge amount of money. But because of the time bubble, Nancy and Steve remember that conversation as if it happened only 1 month ago. They have not even prepared Harper for the idea of suddenly having a new sister. So, when Harper learns that Chloe may move into their house, she becomes furious. She does not want a freak living with her family. Things get even worse when Nancy hears that Chloe keeps teleporting into Harper's room at night and frightening her. Nancy then tells Henry that she needs more time to think about the adoption. Desperate to finally have a mother, Chloe secretly uses her powers on Nancy and forces her to say that she loves her. For a moment it works, but only minutes later, Nancy realizes that Chloe entered her mind and controlled her thoughts. Terrified, Nancy immediately throws Henry and Chloe out of the house. At that moment, Chloe realizes her dream of having a normal family is completely destroyed. Soon after, Henry notices blood coming from Chloe's eyes and understands that her powers are becoming stronger. Afraid of losing control, he locks Chloe inside the closet again before leaving to question Alan. While sitting alone in the dark, Chloe suddenly sees Mary once again. Since she still believes her mother is dead, Chloe thinks the woman is only a ghost. But then something shocking happens. The prison cell door suddenly opens, and armed guards drag Mary away while she screams for help. That is when Chloe finally realizes the truth. Her mother is alive. Panicking, Chloe desperately tries to warn her father, but Henry refuses to listen and locks the door tightly so she cannot escape. Furious and emotional, Chloe threatens to kill her father. Then she uses her powers to force him to point a screwdriver at himself. Henry finally understands that Chloe has become too powerful for him to control anymore. Realizing he cannot keep her trapped forever, he unlocks the door, but Chloe has pushed her powers too far. Blood starts pouring from her mouth and she suddenly collapses unconscious. Terrified, Henry carries her to the living room and begs Alan to help save her. When Chloe finally wakes up, she explains that she saw a vision of her mother alive inside a prison. Henry immediately says that cannot be true because Mary is dead. But then Alan finally reveals the truth. Some time ago, he secretly discovered that Mary was still alive at Matic Mountain. Hearing this, Henry becomes furious. He blames Alan for sending Mary on what was basically a suicide mission years earlier. Still, Henry now knows there is only one thing left to do. He must rescue his wife. At that moment, Chloe looks outside the window and notices police officers surrounding the house. Nancy secretly called them for help. Using her powers, Chloe allows her father to hear the police conversation from outside. The officers announce that if the freaks resist arrest, they will be shot immediately. But if they surrender peacefully, they will be taken to Matic Mountain as prisoners. Hearing this, Chloe becomes desperate to protect her father and grandfather. Using her powers, she invades a police officer's mind and forces him to stab Nancy in the eye with a pen. Then she makes him point his gun at himself. But before the officer can pull the trigger, Henry stops him. The moment the other officers hear Nancy screaming, they panic and think she is attacking someone. Without understanding what is happening, the police open fire and accidentally shoot Nancy right at her own front door. At the same time, Alan tries to grab Chloe and escape with her. He uses his invisibility powers to hide himself while running away. But Chloe breaks free from his arms and rushes back into her room. While holding tightly onto the photo of her mother, Chloe suddenly transports herself into a room deep inside Matic Mountain. There, she finally sees Mary lying trapped on a stretcher like a prisoner. Moments later, Henry also appears in the room and comes face to face with his wife for the first time in years. Shocked and emotional, he realizes Mary is truly alive. Then Henry notices a scientist walking toward her with a syringe. Instantly, he pulls the trigger to stop him, but strangely, the scientist cannot see Henry or Chloe at all. The only person who can see them is Mary. Mary tearfully apologizes to Chloe for missing her entire childhood and never being there to raise her. Just as the doctor is about to inject a dangerous liquid into Mary's neck, Chloe finally acts. Using her powers, she controls the scientist's mind and forces him to inject the chemical into himself instead. Then Chloe mentally controls a guard and forces him to unlock Mary's restraints. As Mary prepares to escape, Henry suddenly hears someone ringing the front doorbell back at the house. He immediately freezes time again. When he looks outside, he sees Agent Rhee standing there with her team. Realizing danger is close, Henry warns Chloe that they need to escape quickly, but Chloe refuses to leave yet. She still needs more time to help her mother escape from Matic Mountain, so she asks her father to distract Agent Rhee while she finishes the rescue. Henry quickly washes the blood around his eyes, unfreezes time, and opens the front door. The moment Rye sees him, she recognizes exactly who he is. She warns Henry that if he tries to kill her, her team will launch a missile and destroy the entire house. Then she gives him another option. If Henry peacefully hands Chloe over to the authorities, Rye promises to help save the girl. But Henry knows the truth. If he surrenders Chloe, he will lose his daughter forever. During the tense conversation, Alan secretly appears beside Rye while invisible and quietly steals her gun without her noticing. When Rye suddenly realizes a gun is pointed at her head, she tries to stay calm and tells Alan to think carefully about Chloe's future. Meanwhile, inside Matic Mountain, Chloe takes control of a guard named Robert and uses him to guide Mary toward the exit. When another guard almost discovers them, Chloe attacks him before he can raise the alarm. But only seconds later, the entire prison goes into emergency lockdown. Back at the house, Rye uses the distraction to grab her weapon again. She quickly fires at Henry. Henry uses his powers to slow the bullet down, but he still gets hit. Realizing the situation is hopeless, Alan turns invisible and tries to escape. At the same time, Rye discovers that Chloe is helping Mary escape from the prison. Deciding Chloe is too dangerous to live, Rye prepares to execute her. But before she can shoot, Alan suddenly jumps in front of Chloe and takes the bullet himself. The old man sacrifices his own life to save his granddaughter. Seeing her grandfather collapse, Chloe becomes overwhelmed with rage and grief. Using her powers one last time, she forces Rye to turn the gun on herself and pull the trigger. After that, Chloe desperately tries to save Alan, but sadly it is too late. Alan dies peacefully while holding the photo of his daughter Mary in his hands. Even after losing so much blood, Henry's first concern is still Chloe. After making sure his daughter is safe, he tells her to continue helping Mary escape from Matic Mountain while he stays behind to deal with the agents outside. Using Rye's radio, Henry contacts the military and falsely claims that Agent Rye is still alive and being held hostage inside the house. But the military leader, Ree, does not believe him. Ree is convinced Rye is already dead and refuses to back down. Realizing there is no other choice left, Henry uses his powers one more time. He freezes time and attacks the police officers surrounding the house. The moment time starts moving normally again, Ree sees several officers already dead and immediately orders a drone strike on the house. Meanwhile, Mary is finally escaping from Matic Mountain. With Chloe secretly helping her through their powers, Mary manages to defeat every guard trying to stop her, but Chloe is becoming weaker and weaker after using her powers non-stop. Exhausted and barely able to stand, she goes downstairs and finds Henry badly wounded from the gunfight. At that same moment, Chloe hears her mother crying for help once again. Even while weak, Chloe forces herself to use her powers again. She invades the soldiers' minds and makes them unlock the prison doors for Mary. The second Mary escapes outside, she immediately uses her flying powers to rush toward her daughter. But at the same time, the military missile is already heading straight for the house. For one final time, Henry gathers every bit of strength left inside him. He freezes time again and manages to pull Chloe away just before the missile destroys the entire house. The explosion is massive, but somehow Chloe and Henry survive. As the smoke clears, Chloe tries to help her father stand up, but Henry has lost too much blood. Knowing he is dying, he smiles proudly at Chloe and tells her that she saved her mother's life. After saying goodbye to his daughter, Henry finally passes away. Heartbroken, Chloe hides quietly in the rubble. Then suddenly she sees someone flying toward her through the smoke. It is Mary. Filled with rage, Mary destroys the soldiers who were hunting Chloe. Then she rushes over and tightly hugs her daughter for the first time. When Mary sees Henry's lifeless body, she becomes emotional. She promises Chloe that from now on she will always protect her. In the end, mother and daughter leave together to search for a new place where they can finally live in peace. What did you think of this incredible story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this recap, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel for more captivating movie summaries.